Good evening, brothers and sisters. I want to apologize for not being able to be with you yesterday. I wasn't in the best shape, was under the weather. Nonetheless, I'm very happy to be here with you today. Very happy to be talking to you about the subject at hand, because we do have some things that we need to be paying attention to as it relates to where we're going, where you and I are going. These leaders that have been puppet leaders for this government are dying out, and our people need to have a place to go. Farrakhan is one of them. He's not the only one. He's not the only one. There are many puppet leaders. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, you name it, they're there. We want to talk about today Wallace Warrith Deem Muhammad, a CIA agent. Who is he? He was put before us. Farrakhan put before us. Several others were put before us. And this is something we have to accept. All the signs are there. When you start letting white Muslims come into the Nation of Islam, white people come into the Nation of Islam, then we have a problem. We have a serious problem. So you and I, the thing that we're going to do today is talk about that for about 30 minutes. And this should catch us up with the show. We want to discuss Wallace Warrith Deem Muhammad and how he betrayed the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I want you to know that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was assassinated on January the 30th, 1975. Muhammad entered Mercy Hospital in Chicago, Illinois, suffering from a combination of heart disease, diabetes, bronchitis, and asthma. It's something that we certainly want to be aware of. He died there of congestive heart failure. This is at Mercy Hospital in Illinois. Congestive heart failure. Nearly 1 month later, at the age of 77, on February the 25th, the day before Savior's Day, he was survived by many children, including his 2 daughters, 6 sons by his wife, most notably future leader Warrith Deem Muhammad, who certainly changed the name of the Nation of Islam to Al-Islam of the United States, or the Al-Islam movement. And so he was buried alongside Sister Mother Clara, at Mount Glenwood Memory Gardens, south in Glenwood, Illinois. And I bring up the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his legacy for a reason, because I want you to see there were 2 chief people that did evil in the eyesight of God, that did evil in the eyesight of man, and did evil in the culture of the American African born here. Evil in our eyesight. And so it's unfortunate that anytime something happened, it's normally with the hands or the knowledge of one of us. We've got to stop killing one another. We got to start helping one another. Sometimes we have to be tough when we help one another. But if it's doing what's right, if it's doing something that's going to help the individual, then that's the love that we have to yield to them. That's the love that we have to yield to them. So brothers and sisters, we have to be steadfast, unmovable, and always abounding in the work of God. Righteous work to do the right thing. Righteous work to do the right thing. And it's too much damage that's coming to our leaders, too much damage coming to our people. And killing one another and drugging one another and cutting one another. And though we profess to be nonviolent, we're violent against one another. We're violent. So I want you to know the fact that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad died before Savior's Day. He died the day before Savior's Day should tell us something. And congestive heart failure, nearly 1 month before Savior's Day. So that we should be thinking about that. This is no coincidence. No coincidence. This is certainly no coincidence. Now, during the time, his time as the leader of the Nation of Islam, he's developed the Nation of Islam from a small movement in Detroit to an empire consisting of banks, schools, restaurants, stores across 46 cities in America. The nation also owned over 15,000 acres of farmland, their own truck and air transport system, as well as a publishing company that printed the country's largest black newspaper. As a leader, Muhammad served as a mentor to many notable members, including Minister Malcolm X, Minister Muhammad Ali, Minister Louis Farrakhan, and his son, Minister Warrith Muhammad, who, as you know, the last two, Louis Farrakhan and Wallace Warrith Muhammad, were used instrumentally into breaking the Nation of Islam down, along with John Ali, the National Press Secretary, and Captain Joseph, who was team leader over the FOI at that time, one of them. And we have to be wise. We've got to be wise to know, have to be wise, that the Nation of Islam is estimated to have, at that time, to be between 20,000 and 50,000 members, with 130 mosques, offering numerous programs to change people within the black community. We have to know that the division between the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Malcolm X was brewed in between the minds of Louis Farrakhan and Wallace Warrith Muhammad. We have to know that. And this is of chief importance, that upon the death of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, his son Wallace Warrith Muhammad succeeded him. Warrith disbanded the Nation of Islam in 1976. He disbanded the Nation of Islam in 1976 and founded an orthodox mainstream Islamic organization that can be known as the American Society of Muslims. The organization would dissolve, change names, and reorganize many times. Now, here's a man that had no problem, no understanding, but had no problem destroying the Nation of Islam that his father had built. What an insult to his father that his father's legacy could not been kept. Who was Wallace Warrith Muhammad working for? In 1977, also, Louis Farrakhan resigned from Wallace Warrith Muhammad's reform organization and reinstituted the original Nation of Islam upon the foundation established by Wallace Fard Muhammad and Elijah Muhammad. Farrakhan regained many of the Nation of Islam's original properties, including the national headquarters of Mosque Number 2. Mosque Miriam is the name of Mosque Number 2. That's in Chicago. The first one is in Detroit. Mosque Number 1 is in Detroit, or Temple, as they would call Temple Number 1. Temple Mosque Number 1 is in Detroit. Temple Mosque Number 2, Mosque Miriam. The main mosque is in Chicago, and Muhammad University of Islam is also in Chicago. And let's talk about that. That Muhammad University of Islam is a Nation of Islam affiliated preschool to 12th grade school in the South Shore area of Chicago, Illinois, United States, located next to Mosque Miriam. Every major NOI mosque has a Muhammad University of Islam. These schools are headed by the Nation of Islam Ministry of Education. So you're keeping religious education, keeping culture education, so that our brothers and sisters can know exactly what it is. Now, I want you to understand, the American Society of Muslims has nothing to do with the Nation of Islam. It has everything to do with the African American Association of Muslims, which doesn't exist. Which was a direct descendant of the original Nation of Islam, but again, it doesn't exist. It was created by Wallace Warrith Muhammad after he assumed the leadership of the Nation of Islam upon the death of his father, Elijah Muhammad. And what I want you to understand is there's no transformation in that organization, and it has dwindled down to naught, literally dwindled down to nothing. So we have to understand that. Now, this was a ploy. I want you to understand that, a ploy to divide the Nation of Islam, to destroy the Nation of Islam. And these individuals were involved. So they came up with two plans. The one plan would be to get the Nation of Islam and redirect it to an integrative organization where it let whites, blacks, and everyone else in. right? That's Farrakhan. If you look at his nation, he's letting white people in, so-called white people, so-called Native American that are white. You know, the white man, if he'll act like he's black, he'll act like he's white. He's letting in so-called brown-skinned people who look white. See, we gotta when they talk about the red, the black, the brown, it's talking about us, people that dark like us, dark people, brown people, not white people calling themselves brown. I want you to understand that. You have to understand it because you have to know it. You have to understand. You have to know it. Yes, from the black man, there comes a red man, a type of red man, a type of brown man, and a type of yellow man that are part of us. When you look at the Samoan, you know that they're black. Look at Rock. He's black, right? He's black. He's a brown man, but he's a selective amount of black under the brown. So he's a brown man that comes, or a red man, excuse me, that comes from a black heritage. Talk about a yellow. Let's talk about that. You go to Indonesia, you see the yellow man with the afro, there's black features and all that. That's us. That's us. So you have to understand exactly what's going on. Those can be attached to us. This message to the black man, the dark people of the world, the colored people of the world, yes, but not to somebody white calling themselves black. See, it's the whole thing that you have to understand is that we've got to stop integration. Integration is the first act of infiltration, second act of invasion. You have to understand that. You have to understand it. And it's too late in the game for me to tell you if you don't know, but you have to understand it. Now, the whole idea was to destroy the Nation of Islam. You have to understand it. This was not the first time. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he's a coon, right? Yeah. Lou Alcindor is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Nothing but a coon. Nothing but a coon. And all you got to do is listen to him. He's an American basketball player, played for the Milwaukee Bucks and Los Angeles Lakers. And he's nothing but a coon. That's all he is. He's going to do whatever the white man wants. And so you waste your time looking at these people. You got to know. Here's the key ingredient. If the white man is putting somebody in front of you and he's black, and you can figure it out from there. You can figure it out from there. Now, there was another plan for what Hamas Abdul Khalis, who did the same thing against the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Khalis went Sunni right out of the Nation of Islam. He used to be the first national secretary of the NOI and had been ousted in the late 1950s. Ernest 2X McGee. Okay, he was a leader of the Hanafi movement, right? A black Muslim based in Washington, D.C. So it wasn't the first time. They had all of these people causing trouble. They were sent there by the government. They were causing trouble to disband the Nation of Islam. You have to know that. You have to know that. When you look at Farrakhan, and I want to show a lot of people his father, Farrakhan's father. You have to know about that. And we're gonna talk about that because we need to talk about it today. Because see, it was Farrakhan and Wallace. Farrakhan and Wallace that stroked the mighty blow to disband the original Nation of Islam, where they had to come back together. But by that time, you had agents to come in that you knew about. Then when the rest of them came together, agents we didn't know about it, then you look at Farrakhan, he's making funny moves with Scientology and Dianetics, right? He was making a lot of funny moves with Scientology and Dianetics. But you got to do your research on him. Brothers and sisters, it's time for us to be researching stuff. Stop believing everything that you're told. Stop believing everything that you're told. You've got to be doing some research. You've got to get some understanding of everything that's going on. Hamas Abdul Khalis in 1921. This is Ernest Timothy McGee, who was the first representative for the Nation of Islam. okay, under the Most Elijah Muhammad in that position. Hamas Abdul Khalis, right, who was born Ernest Timothy McGee in 1921, was a leader of the Nafi movement, a black Muslim organization group based in Washington, D.C. Khalis founded the group following a split with the Nation of Islam in 1957. In 1971, he won support of the basketball star Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but in 1973, let's listen to this, because this agent comes first, right? An agent comes, right? You go over there, we'll give you support, right? That's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right? When he wins support of this basketball star, well-known basketball star that white people push him for, and they always have pushed him for it, made him somewhat of a spokesman for black people, integrating him in these movies. You gotta take the scales off your eyes and see exactly what's going on. Khalis founded the group following a split with the Nation of Islam in 1957. In 1971, right? 15 years later, 16 years later, he won the support of basketball star Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But in 1973, his family was murdered. So the Hanafi Muslim massacre, because that's what it was called when his family was murdered. The Hanafi Muslim massacre took place on January 18, 1973. 2 men and a boy were shot to death. 4 children ranging from the age of ranging in age from 9 days to 10 years old were drowned. 2 others were severely injured. The murder took place 7716 Northwest Washington, D.C. Now, all of this happens after he made contact with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, which is supposed to perpetuate him. So, some money was involved. All right, enraged by the murders, he organized a 1977 siege of Washington, D.C., right? Called the Hanafi Siege. The 1977 Hanafi Siege was a terrorist attack, and see, they were baiting him. Where's Kareem in all of this? Was a terrorist attack, hostage taken, standoff in Washington, D.C., lasting from March 9th to March 11, 1977. 3 buildings were seized by 12 Hanafi movement gunmen who took 149 hostages during the initial attack and take over a building. The assailants killed a journalist. You gotta understand that this was baited and this was suggested. He spent the rest of his life in prison after being found guilty of conspiracy to commit kidnapping while armed, 2nd-degree murder, 2 counts of assault with intent to kill while armed, 1 count of assault with a dangerous weapon, and 24 counts of kidnapping while armed. You have to understand that. All right? So what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad poses doesn't have anything to do with any kind of violence. You have to understand that when you become a member of a foreign organization that is associated with violence, then it's downhill from there. At least what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad provides has a religious origination to it. The origin is religious. The results are social, right? That we can do something for ourselves. We can change our lives by making a decision and do something for ourselves instead of begging someone to do it for us. And you have to remember that. You have to remember that. So you have to learn to question. Stop accepting everyone that's been put before you and question things. You don't have to be wild and crazy as you question them, but you need to question it. Why would Wallace submit to bringing the Sunni Islam into a nation of Islam, which is already established. Here's the reason. The reason is because of the legacy of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was the real threat. He was a real threat to the government. Because here's this black man with a third-grade education, leader of the Nation of Islam. He had developed the Nation of Islam from a small movement in Detroit to an empire consisting of banks, schools, restaurants, stores across 46 cities in America. The nation owned over 15,000 acres of farmland, their own truck and air transport system, as well as a publishing company that printed the country's largest black newspaper. As a leader, Muhammad served as a mentor to many notable members. So he's raising up men. Isn't that right? Brothers and sisters, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad raises up men. He's raising up men. Change your life. Change your life from drugs. Change your life from alcohol. Change your life from all these things that can't do anything, can't help you. These things cannot help you. Change your life from these things, and lo, I'll give you an occupation that will help you. We have to be wise. The contribution of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is to change the lives of men and women. Change their lives. Because if I can change their lives, right? If I can change the lives of the men and women that are on the streets that have no hope, right? And get to some land of my own, right? And build a state for me and my people. You could also clean up the poverty within the black community, the white community, and other communities around, red, black, and brown. Right? Isn't that correct? The white man, let him handle his own people and let us handle our own people. We'll help them. We know exactly what they need. We'll help them. But we'll at the same time establish our independence. Stay independent. And that's the key. That's the key. That's the job. We'll keep your families together. A lot of black men are not with their families because they don't have employment. You know, and there are other reasons too, but all of it belongs to the system. It doesn't belong to us, it belongs to the system. So we have to be wise. We've got to be wise in what we do. All right, brothers and sisters, I want to thank you for listening. And remember, we'll be back with you at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, we'll be back with you. And I appreciate this technology of recording and all of that. I just appreciate it so much because I know that we'll have this so that people can listen to it. We'll have it so people can listen to it. So, but be strong. Be strong and stand in power. Be strong and stand in power. You don't have to do crime. Ladies, you don't have to sell your bodies. Men, you don't have to deal drugs. You don't have to do any of that. All you have to do is listen. Listen to God. Listen to God. So, I'm very happy to have the opportunity to do it. I'll continue to do it. I'll continue to do it. And our holistic practice and products are here for you. Okay. We got a sister too that make bean pies. Just opened up a restaurant, and I'm gonna give you her information because you can order it online. You can get it through her, and she does a great job. She does a great job. So I'm gonna make sure that I put her and her husband's information up here so that you'll be able to exercise and use that. It's very important that we become self-sufficient. We got to be self-sufficient. We have too much foolishness. Too much foolishness. We got to get it together. We got to get it together. Also, we have our holistic university. I'm going to put that information down because you certainly need to do that. We need more things in our community for our people. When they get sick, we need natural products to help us. We don't need the poison. We need natural products. We need natural products. And so the good thing about it is that we can have natural products made from us. You can learn how to make these things yourself. It's another way of starting your own business in your community. Let people come to you and get the things that you have. Let them come to you. And we encourage it, because when you come out this school, you're going to be ready. You're going to be qualified, and you'll be able to help our people. We need people that's able to help our people. That's what we need. Our people need help, brothers and sisters. You know they do. You know they need help. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. You know that our people need help. So our people need help. We need you to help our people. So I'm very excited. Very excited. I'm going to catch up on these shows, because we have to catch up on them and make sure that we're putting out information that our people can use. And don't forget to support the organization. I'm going to put this down there. Do what you want. We're going to keep running. We're going to find some way to keep running. Some way to keep running. But make sure you support. Always support any Black organization. Get involved. Get involved. By all means, get involved. Get involved. So if you're able to get involved, there's something that God has for you to do. He hasn't given a mission to just a few people. He's given a mission to all of us. He has given a mission to all of us. So he hasn't just given it to a few people. And he's waiting on you. God is waiting on you to get on his side. If you get on God's side, then you'll understand that God is on your side. He's waiting for you. He's waiting for you to do it, brothers and sisters. God is waiting for you to get on his side. And the minute that you get on God's side, then you'll find out that his yoke is easy and his burden is truly light. And whatever you should ask for, believing, you should certainly receive it. And I just want to be on God's side. And you should want to be on God's side so you can do the will of God and do the work of God. I'm not going to hold you, brothers and sisters. That's what I have for you. I'm not going to hold you any longer, but I ask that you will support. Also ask that you will stand strong, and also ask that you will get involved into changing your community. Don't be like the heathens. You know, we got some Black heathens around here that like to be naked on Facebook and all of that, right? Want to be naked on Facebook and not really saying anything. They're not really saying anything. But they will, just to be seen. Just to be seen. Because they're not saying anything. We got to get busy, brothers and sisters. We got to get busy doing the right thing. So be back with us again at 12. No, not 12. We'll be, pardon me, brothers and sisters. Be with us again at 7:30. 7:30 will be coming before you again. I'm going to make sure I put the link out. I had to come in and do this quick show because we did miss it the last few days. So we're doing this. But be back with us again at 7:30 to talk about our next subject. And then after that, we'll be back on track for the 10:30 meeting time. Thank you, brothers and sisters. I love you. If I didn't say it in the beginning, Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum.